Okay, well, speaking of one of your projects, you're like writing a book that is trying basically debunking Jordan Peterson. Now, I was curious your thoughts on Jordan Peterson, and just sort of talking about the book that you're writing.
Well, yeah, I'm writing a book called "The Order of Chaos: An Antidote to Meaning." It's not really just a refutation of Jordan Peterson, because I think that it's easy to do that, but it's also difficult to make that interesting. I think that the only way you can really take on Jordan Peterson is to say, okay, well, here's his point of view on how the world works. Here's his philosophy of life. So, it's not mine. So let me tell you my philosophy of life, and we'll occasionally compare and contrast it. But for the most part, the book is more about elucidating where my head is at, why I think the way I do. And hopefully, if people find certain of my insights useful, they'll take them and adopt them. And if people don't, I've already had people come to me and say, really love chapter 1, hated chapter 2. Really love chapter 2, hated chapter 1. So, and that's exactly the kind of reaction I want, because in the introduction, I make it clear that take what you want from this. If you don't like something I say, discard it. Throw it in the fucking garbage bin. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's how people should read any book. And I think the problem with what's happening with Jordan Peterson right now is that his attitude is not, here's some suggestions, take them or leave them. His attitude is, I'm the savior. I am your father. I am going to instill you with this great responsibility. And he's set himself up in the position of a demagogue. He's got followers who think he's their father. If you go to one of Jordan Peterson's videos, the comment sections are just gushing with over the top, disgusting praise. That's it's not like, wow, I really admire what this guy's doing. That would be fine. You find comments like, here stands a man, a great man, a strong man. It's like, oh, yeah, my fucking this big purple cesspool of weighty language, and they almost start writing like old style with these and thous and things, and it's like, wow. So there's definitely a cult around there. I think that I think he's correct when he identifies the reason why he's rising. Because if you ask him, he'll say, well, it's because I preach a message of responsibility, and you don't hear that.
You think that's what it is?
Oh yeah, I think it really is that. What he's not saying is that the responsibility and purpose that he provides, it's not objective. It's not objectively the right path forward. He basically thrives on a lack of ambiguity, a total ambiguity rather.
Right.
The demagogues like to keep things vague. They like to have people insert their own ideas into what's being said. That's why Make America Great Again by Trump was such a great, campaign slogan. Mm-hmm. Because, okay, make America great again. So when was it great before? When is this era we're supposed to be revisiting? That's never clarified. That's never explained.
True.
Because he wants people to put their own idyllic version of whatever part of the past they most venerate and say, yeah, that's what we need to get back to, this, and this. He doesn't clarify what that is. Jordan Peterson's the same way. If you ask him a direct question, it's just a slippery maze of bullshit oftentimes. And the reason for that is because he doesn't want to come down to definitive. He's slimy to fucking try to pin down. Even the way he writes, right. There's a lot of suggestions of what he means, but it's always open enough for interpretation that people can put their own values into it to some extent. But yeah, people are looking for purpose in this age because look, we live in a more nihilistic time than ever. People are super skeptical of everyone other than the person who's feeding them what they want to hear. That's a big problem. We live in an age of total confirmation bias because, there's so many different sources of information. There's so many different points of view being presented, especially, when you have like these mass communications platforms like we have now. So people don't know what to think anymore. So people just end up thinking whatever they want. They end up listening to the voice who's repeating what they already believe back to them in a more articulate way than they could ever say it. And that's what Jordan Peterson does. He gives voice to a lot of people. And the way he gives them that voice is by being so vague, but just specific enough about a few things that they can kind of see enough of themselves in that to be like, oh, yeah, this is what we need. We need to return to tradition. We need to return to order. We need to, defeat. It's one. I mean, once again, he relies very heavily on this defeat the SJW scourge thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different. I have to admire Jordan Peterson on a sheer crowd control level. I would say the same about Trump.
Gain?
Oh yeah, and a tremendous monetary gain. But I mean, everyone who does what Jordan Peterson does has some ambition of making money. So you can't fault him for being good at it,
Yeah, that's true. But I was wondering what your thoughts on his whole religion shtick is, because obviously the whole beginning of your channel, and for the longest time until recently, your channel name was about religion. So I was curious what your thoughts are on that.
I've watched a lot of his stuff. I've read his most recent book. As far as I can tell, he does not believe in a literal God. He does identify as a Christian. He's been asked point blank, does he believe in God or not? His answers are legendarily evasive. Mm-hmm. And the reason he doesn't want to give that answer is it's clear in his book. In his book, he talks at one point about heaven, okay? Mm-hmm. But he never talks about heaven in terms of this is a place we're all going to go after we die. He talks about heaven as a place that it's up to us as human beings to create for ourselves. When he talks about God, he never talks about him specifically as a person unless he's referencing a myth. I think that what Jordan Peterson is on religion is he's someone who sees a social value to Christianity. He's someone who pines for the stabilizing influence of Christianity, but he doesn't actually believe the doctrine on the supernatural portion of it anyway. He thinks these are good. It's a good moral framework to exist within. It's a good social framework to exist within. Yeah, and like I said, he likes to keep it vague because he doesn't want to come out and tell his God-fearing followers that he definitively does believe in God. He doesn't want to tell his atheist followers that he definitively doesn't believe in God. Right. He wants to promote Christianity as a social institution more than he wants to promote it as a religion.